AZ community, Dr. Cobb here. We have been having a very interesting conversation in the office, and it has prompted us to take some pretty serious action in the form of a video. What we're here to do is I want to start to take the opportunity occasionally to share amazingly cool stories with you that are coming in from the community. You guys know that we have the delusional plan that has launched this year. We're getting tons of really cool new people into the community. They're going back to their work, they're applying Z Health principles with their clients, and honestly, life-changing stuff's happening around the world. Now, this is really important because you've heard me maybe talk about this before, this whole idea that we see extraordinary things happen every day. Things that the rest of the world goes, that's crazy. How can a vision drill fix someone's knee pain? How can a vestibular drill help someone jump higher? It just seems weird to them, but because we talk about it all day, every day, and we teach it and see it, to us, the extraordinary can actually become a little bit ordinary, to be honest. So we are making a determined effort to no longer let that happen. One of the reasons we know people come to Z Health is because they're really fascinated to see what the rest of the community is doing. One of the terms that gets thrown around is this idea of an epic community. The Z Health community is very cool. Tons and tons of incredibly smart, talented people around the world working very hard to bring brain-based fitness into the mainstream. And so as a result of that, the stuff that comes into our emails literally would blow your mind if you had a chance to hear it. So we've talked about it, and you know what? We're going to give you a chance to hear it. I have always been kind of the bottleneck in this because going to doctor school, they always said, hey, you have to keep things private, don't talk about anything. But you know what? Everything I'm going to share with you, people are putting up on Facebook. I'm not going to put people's names up or anything like that other than maybe first names of trainers. But the reason that I feel comfortable with this is that we have to start a community conversation so that everyone can be informed about what other people are doing and the results that they're creating, because I think it's going to help create more excitement and more momentum for us as we're trying to create this change around the world. So with that said, we're going to start with a very, very cool story today from David. Now, I have emails from Andy and Cecilia, David, Masha, Lars, I can keep going on just right now, just sitting in the inbox, and ranging from people needing help with neurologic rehab to right now I have an email about an Olympic gold medalist that needs help. And that's just a typical week here in the Z office. When we're reminded of that, I go, that's actually very interesting and it's very cool to see. Now, the reason that I chose the story I'm going to start this whole thing off with is because it involves a dancer. And if you know, my middle daughter is a dancer. She is 17. She's on her way to becoming a professional dancer. And this story is not about her, but it is about David, who works with dancers, professional dancer himself, Z trainer, doing really amazing stuff with his athletes. And not too long ago, he was away on a retreat with some dancers, and he said, they were out at a club, and he was collecting people's drink stirrers so that he would have things to use for vision drills. People were looking around going, dude, that's kind of weird. Why are you collecting everyone's drink stirrers? So they got into a conversation, and one of the young dancers there, 15 years old, said, well, I have this big issue. No one's been able to fix it. They start talking about it. And she's 15, she's working on becoming a dancer, and she can't do the splits. Particularly her right front split, she is unable to perform it. And in fact, he took a picture. She's maybe 8 to 10 inches off the floor. They get into a conversation, well, why is this? She has a genetic disorder. She has some other issues that have seemingly prevented her, according to all the physicians and other people that she's seen, prevented her from getting the splits. So at her last evaluation around this, she was actually offered a $50,000 surgery to break her hip, realign it, and then once she was done rehabbing, she might be able to dance again, but she should be able to do the splits. Now, from a Z Health perspective, you got to go, are there other things that we could try? David goes, well, let's test your vision. Let's start off with some of the basics. He said, I tested gaze stabilization, some smooth pursuit. She had some really significant issues with one of her eyes. We did a couple of drills, and she went from not being able to do the split, again, 8 to 10 inches, to full split, and he got it on camera. And the most important thing he said was that one drill changed her entire world. And guys, that is the power of the stuff that we do. Now, we know it's not always like that. We know that it's not always one drill and someone's entire world change, but sometimes it is. If you've been to a class I've taught, particularly our phase, You may have heard me say stuff like, if one movement can get you into pain, why can't one movement get you out of pain? And my entire life has been driven by questions like that. And the ZL system really exemplifies that. So David, amazing work. So happy to hear and see the results of what you did. And ultimately, he's kind of standing in place of the entire community as an example of things that are happening around the world. We have hundreds of thousands of people whose lives are now being touched by Z, and we are going to do our best to share stories with you regularly so that you can see what kind of community you've actually chosen to become a part of. And we ask that you actually share things that you're doing. There's a link below this video. If you have cool stories, videos you want to send in, I would love to see them, number one. And if you're comfortable, I'd love to share them with the rest of the community so that people can really see what can be accomplished when we take a practical approach to brain-based fitness. You can change people's lives in an incredibly dramatic way, sometimes with just one drill, sometimes with a little bit more work than that, but as we say in our phase, we don't always have to be right, we just have to be persistent. So guys, stay persistent, stay in touch, and we look forward to hearing from you. Thanks.